Hello there, and welcome to my channel. For those of you who follow movie news, you probably know that there's a new Willy Wonka movie coming out soon. In preparation for that, I thought I'd go back and review the classic film, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. It's a musical comedy that follows a little boy named Charlie who wins a ticket to tour the world's most famous and mysterious chocolate factory. It was based on a book by Roald Dahl and adapted into a screenplay by him and David Seltzer. The film was directed by Mel Stewart and stars Gene Wilder as Willy Wonka, Jack Albertson as Grandpa Joe, and Peter Ostrum as a young Charlie Bucket. The story happens in two major parts. The first half of the film revolves around a contest that Willy Wonka puts on. He places 5 golden tickets into his chocolate bars at random and the world goes mad trying to find them. The film plays like a sketch comedy version of a news report. They joke about and introduce the different contest winners and put on little skits about the world losing their minds while trying to find the last of the tickets. The film's second half involves the 5 contest winners entering the factory and going on a tour of it with Willy Wonka himself. At first, it seems like a magical place, but soon the children discover all the dangers hiding in the shadows. This section is more like a horror thriller with little bits of comedy coming from Gene Wilder and Jack Albertson. During the whole film, there are little musical numbers with the actors singing and dancing to the tune. There are about 5 in total. Cast-wise, there is a lot to talk about. Everyone from the extras to the leads is playing a stereotype of some kind. The first half of the film involves them introducing the 5 winning children and their families, as well as cutting to gag characters who exist to tell a joke. Each of the children has a singular personality trait beyond just being a selfish, ignorant brat. Their parents are pushovers who give them everything they want. Then you have Charlie, a hardworking boy who dreams of winning big. He comes with his hardworking and caring mother, his invalid grandparents, and Grandpa Joe, his guardian throughout the movie. Joe seems a bit more down-to-earth and humorous than the rest of the parents, but he's not without his flaws. At the center of it all is Willy Wonka, the famous chocolatier and an absolute madman. He's dramatic, sarcastic, and a bit extreme. He goes from ranting and raving at the parents to telling jokes in the snap of a finger. Visually, the two sections are quite distinct. The first half cuts around constantly to different perspectives and tries hard to set up the grander narrative around the contest, how the world is reacting to it, how each of the contestants won, and it spends a bit of time with each of them. The scenes feel more like sketches than a linear story, and there are a few musical numbers thrown in randomly to help spice things up. During these scenes, one actor will sing while the rest react to and dance around them. They're big choreographed scenes with lots of movement. In the second half, it's more like a traditional story where we follow the group through the wondrous factory. Nothing inside of it makes sense, as just about anything you can see is meant to be edible. On top of that, the factory has an otherworldly feeling to it that often gives subtly horrific vibes. It also has little orange men running around who run the factory and sing songs whenever something bad happens. Sound-wise, the film uses scored tracks and musical numbers to back the film in short doses. Most of the film is accompanied by silence, but whenever they have a big emotional moment, they'll score it with orchestral pieces that follow the story precisely. There are a few repetitive songs, but they're used to make a point. The Oompa Loompa song, for example, has different lyrics each time that describe the bad event, but each song is set to the same music. The theme for Willy Wonka's Wonderland is the other song that plays multiple times, but it often is used to highlight the magical nature of the factory, and what the audience is seeing. The musical numbers appear at random to help the characters express their inner monologue. So how does the film hold up by today's standards? The writing is a bit fantastical and confusing. They include many details in the first half of the film that aren't exactly relevant to the story and seem to exist purely to get across the film's themes about greed. The characters are also a little boring and repetitive. There are several unexplained events, and Wonka's factory is just a complete mystery as to how it works. That said, it's one of the most exciting worlds ever seen on screen. Their creative journey through fields of candy, trees, and down rivers of chocolate is a captivating adventure filled with horror, excitement, strange men singing songs, and a few good lessons. The cast puts on decent performances with a few wooden line deliveries appearing now and then from some of the extras. For the purpose of the film, the general performances work well to get across the film's themes and lessons, and they have an ace in the hole in the form of Willy Wonka himself. Gene Wilder's Willy Wonka is a larger-than-life businessman who keeps you on your toes. He changes temperament in an instant and seems to hold a bit of contempt toward the spoiled children and their parents. Wilder manages to make every second feel like a dramatic performance and plays the emotions with a passion that is hard to ignore. He takes center stage and fills the theater with his persona. Outside of Wilder, you have great musical performances by Aubrey Woods, Jack Albertson, Julie Dawn Cole, and Diana Sowell. Visually, the film does well with its journey, but is much more interesting in the second half of the film than the first. The musical numbers throughout the film are always well done and introduce a lot of lore building and excitement into the story. They have lots of moving parts to keep you busy, and there's a ton of visual fodder in there to enjoy. The sketches that play out often involve physical elements to them, and the level of detail they go to for a throwaway sketch background is insane. They built props and designed whole rooms for a 2-minute joke that wasn't relevant to the story at all. It's quite impressive. There are a couple of visuals that don't quite hold up though, like the green screen shot of Joe and Charlie rising into the fan, or the elevator ride at the end, but they're short shots that are over quickly. Sound-wise, the film has a lot of dead air in it that does feel a little bit underutilized, but it does a good job of supporting the story with music in different ways. The scored tracks follow the story excellently and do a great job of uplifting the scenery. Wonka's theme is a magical track that creates feelings of wonder and mystery, while the rest of the scored tracks seem to capture emotions like triumph or sadness well. The musical numbers are big standout moments that allow the characters to express their inner thoughts or work through a situation, and they add a lot of depth to the characters. They're usually catchy, well sung, and directly relevant to what's happening. They have a pretty big impact, especially Gene Wilder's songs. Overall, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory is a great film that captures the magical nature of Roald Dahl's children's story and turns it into an even greater experience. Gene Wilder is amazing as Willy Wonka, and the film has some great visual sequences and musical numbers. If you like weird films with a big character in them, give this a try. If you don't like heavy-handed political messages, maybe give it a miss. As for a rating, I'd give this film an 8 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Bye-bye!